Hello, I'm Calise Hawkins. What's your name? Outstanding. Welcome to Bobby Pickles Podcast.
Bobby Pickles Podcast. He always says, "That's me." With that look on his face, he'll talk about anything. Tattoos, t-shirts, politics, history, and hot sauce on everything. Bobby Pickles. Pop culture, documentaries, conspiracy theories, sarcasm, and beer. It's a conversation. Start listening, cause we're all here. Bobby Pickles Podcast. That's me.
Hello, my name's Robert Piccirillo, but my nom de plume is Bobby Pickles, and this is episode 34 of my podcast. Today's episode is about stand-up comedy. It's always seemed so interesting to me, so appealing, you know? I've always wanted to try it, yet I never have. I watch a lot of stand-up comedy. Pryor, Carlin, Hicks, Dice, CK. Back in the day, you had Murphy, Kinison, Dangerfield. You had Bruce, Cosby. Boy, that's an antithesis. Now you got Burr, Rogan, Maron, all of which are podcasters, I may add. I'm just a big fan of stand-up comedy. You know, I appreciate the art form, and I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to write like 5 minutes of material, and I'm going to perform it at an open mic night. But not one of those open mic nights where it's like comedy-centric. I'm going to go to one of those music-centric open mic nights. Hey, that's what Calise Hawkins suggested anyway. And she should know because Calise has been a New York stand-up comedian for somewhere around 10 years now. You know, apparently on average it takes that long to hone your craft enough to where you start getting recognition. Doesn't that suck? I mean, it sucks for me because I'm 33 now. So going off those numbers, if I start right now, I won't get the fame I so desperately crave until fucking 43. Imagine that. I can't even imagine myself at 43. I mean, holy shit. Like, I still act like I'm 16 years old. Anyway, I digress. Calise Hawkins. Ms. Hawkins was recently featured on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. That's pretty awesome. I mean, that's making it in my book. She was on this brilliant podcast of mine. That's cool, right? I was honored to speak with her. I interviewed her on the stoop of a residential building just around the block from West 4th Street, which is, for all you non-New Yorkers, basically the epicenter of stand-up comedy in New York City. There's a ton of clubs in this section of Greenwich Village, including the Comedy Cellar, which is my personal favorite. You might know it from Louis C.K.'s FX show Louis. The show always begins with him getting out of the subway at West 4th, eating a slice of pizza, then going down the stairs into the Comedy Cellar. If I ever really do get the balls to become a stand-up comedian and I somehow finagle a set at the Comedy Cellar, that would be such a momentous occasion for me, such a milestone on that lonely road of stand-up comedy. Anyway, again, I'm getting off track. So I meet up with Calise Hawkins after basically shadowing her. I saw 3 of her sets at 3 different comedy clubs, all within, you know, that general vicinity. And it was an eye-opening experience. It really was. I got to go backstage at one of the larger clubs, and there were like famous stand-up comedians back there. And then here I am with my backpack on because that's how I carry all my podcasting equipment. So I was looking like a fucking schoolboy, but it was awesome. That night she was rehearsing a 5-minute set that she had prepared, and she was honing, and she had planned on performing at a taping for another show that she's going to be on. I got to see how she performed that same set in front of 3 totally different crowds, and how each crowd's overall personality is different. For instance, the first room was a medium-sized room, and there was like a whole table full of drunken girls in the midst of a bachelorette party. The second was a tiny room with hardly anybody there. I mean, I think I counted like 6 people total, 3 couples. The room felt stale and uninviting. But then the third room was that large comedy club that I was talking about, the larger room, more in line with, let's say, the Comedy Cellar. I don't want to like say any names of any specific places, but it wasn't that place. But I guess it's one of its competitors. But after all this, she had some time to kill before her next set. And so she agreed to yap with me for a bit on a stoop in Greenwich Village. You know, just an aside, if I do get into stand-up comedy, that's like the reverse of how you're supposed to do it. You know, I mean, many comedians become podcasters, but I'd be a podcaster who becomes a stand-up comedian. That's like the opposite way it's supposed to happen. But I guess that's fitting, for I am a contrarian. It's almost second nature. It's actually borderline ridiculous how much of a potential puppet I am. I mean, if someone were to know the formula, they could easily be pulling my strings to high heaven. If there's something you'd like for me to do, just tell me not to do it. The chances are I'll do it. I'm a simpleton. Did you know Mark Twain invented stand-up comedy? It's true. He toured around the country on a lecture circuit. He gave humorous talks for hours on end about life and his travels around the world. I got to make a t-shirt which gets that point across. Mark Twain, the true godfather of stand-up comedy. Anyway, let's talk to Calise Hawkins.
1, 2, 3. Vet for benzo dot boom com. Vet for benzo dot boom com. Vet for benzo dot boom com. Vet for benzo.com.
So Calise Hawkins, stand-up comedian in New York City.
Yes.
I just caught you doing a couple of your sets.
Yes, you just caught 3 of my sets. Right now,
Yes.
I'm going through my process of getting my set together for a taping.
Right.
I'm taping Totally Biased for FX. I'm doing stand-up on it.
Don't worry about it. That right there. It's fine. These are directional microphones. You know how to speak into a mic because you're a comedian.
Yes.
Right.
Uh-huh.
It's only going to pick up our voices, and everything else.
So
will
not
just
the motorcycles?
Be,
All right.
It'll be
Okay.
ambient sound, so it's all good. But anyway,
So what you saw was me trying to whittle down. I have a game plan for my set, and it usually, when I have a taping, it usually starts off really lofty. I have a great idea for what I want to come off as. I want to be relevant. I want to be important. I want to say something. I want to make points. And then usually by the time the taping rolls around, I've completely ditched that. I'm just like a buffoon. I'm like, yeah, I do want to be funny, but this time I really feel like my jokes and my game plan are going to work. I have had to cut out a few things that weren't getting laughs. I had this really great advice several years ago from Jim Gaffigan. He said you have to have ears that can hear the laughs and hear the funny. You have to be honest with yourself. If you don't hear the laughs, don't tell the joke. Or change it or fix it. So for a taping, you have to get rid of all your ego, and you have to just go, all right, that just didn't work. Don't force it. You don't have the luxury. You just want it to be the funniest of what you have. So you saw 3 sets. You saw one with a full crowd, and it went great. That's how I hope it goes on the taping. Then you saw one with 6 people in the crowd, and it was weird, and I had to pretend like I was in it even though they weren't in it. Then you saw one with a pretty decent crowd, and it was
larger than the first one.
It was larger than the first one, yes. And I think it went well. And that's all I need right now. Because, like I said to you earlier, a TV taping, the crowds are really hot. They're there for you. But club crowds are all distracted. They all have their own little personal lives.
So based on the amount of laughs that you hear, it's probably going to be 10 times more, right? Because it's hot.
It's the trend. If I'm wrong about that this time, holy crap. But usually, if you have a good rhythm and you're getting the laugh and the set's working, for a TV taping, the audience is there. They know they're on TV. They're part of it. They're part of the experience. So if I can get a club crowd to laugh at my TV taping jokes, it's going to go great.
I thought it was great.
Thank you.
It was funny. You talk a lot about being a single mother. God, it was really funny. First of all, so we're talking on a stoop right now. This is and you said that you come over here a lot with some of your counterparts.
I used to come here a lot, 4 years ago. I used to come over here.
Yeah.
And hang out. You know what? Honestly, they would. I wouldn't, because I haven't smoked since I've had my kid. When I had her, I didn't stop drinking, but I definitely stopped experimenting with drugs.
Do a lot of comedians smoke?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah?
I would say so, sure. It's just like life. People smoke and people don't.
Absolutely.
It's the same mix.
Right.
But I wouldn't say a lot of people are high on stage.
No?
That's that's not a thing.
You have to have all your wits about you.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, there are people who can pull it off.
When did you start doing stand-up comedy?
I started in 2004.
2004? God, you've been going at it for a long time.
For a long time,
Doesn't it it takes a long time to be able to get good?
Well, people usually say the 10-year mark is when you
10
really
years.
start getting any attention.
Wow. And
And-
so
and-
you're coming up to that right now.
Yeah, and you're not supposed to talk about whether or not you took a break, but I've taken a lot of breaks having a kid. When I had her, I took a couple years off, and then took another year off in between because it wasn't working out with me financially.
But you just didn't do any stand-up comedy whatsoever during those times?
Not really. No, I was home breastfeeding first. And that's why she became a big part of my act, because I spend most of my time with her. But then when she got old enough to go to really, like, that I could trust a babysitter, I'm with her all day, and then I leave her at 8 o'clock at night when she has to go to sleep anyway, because that's the bedtime. Then I pick her up in the morning, and I take her to school.
When did you start getting back into it?
I mean, it's happened a couple of different times where I've had to reset, I guess.
Did those breaks help you become a better stand-up comedian?
Sure. I'm not even sure.
No?
I'm not even sure. I think age changes how you approach what you're doing as a stand-up. So, in whatever point of maturity you're at, that's what you're going to do on stage. So I wouldn't say it helped or hurt. I think funny grows no matter if we're on stage or not. There's the theory of getting on stage and whatever. But I think that just like you get more intelligent and you get more mature and you have more life experience, you naturally get funnier if you're funny.
What made you want to? Were you funny as a kid and stuff? Like, what made you want to become a stand-up comedian?
I think because it seemed like a different route, and I'm so bored with the choices of what you're supposed to become and the careers. I can't stand it. Mm-hmm. And I get bored with comedy too. I just need a lot of change. I need things to be I like the feeling. I like the unstable feeling. I do want a stable source of income, but I like the questionable, like, well, it's really what you put into it. Mm-hmm. I like that. I like the challenge.
With all these shows that you're doing, you're jumping around from all these different clubs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I saw you at 3 different clubs doing your act.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing that every night, right? Or like the weekends, maybe Thursday.
I don't do that every night. I do that when I need to.
Mm-hmm. You make a living off of this, though? Just doing the comedy?
I don't
100%?
make a living off of stand-up. I make a living off of my writing, and I stretch that across the stand-up spots.
Right.
So that's how that works.
So you're doing writing you're doing comedy writing for different shows and stuff?
Yes. Here and there I'll get a little different job. Like the last job I worked on is Oxygen Pilot, mm-hmm. and it was like a clip show, kind of like Tosh, but it was, different host, different angle. And those shows come up, and that's the money that I have to kind of hang on to for my life.
Yeah.
Because stand-up does,
all the shows pretty well, though, those little writing gigs?
Those pay really well.
And then you get those from what? From doing stand-up and then people seeing
word
you?
Word of mouth. And from my management. They'll submit me, and then I'll have to, like, write up something.
Have you had a manager for a long time?
A couple of years.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Not that long.
Not that long?
Mm-mm.
And then do they really help out? Like, can't you gonna go it alone without a manager? I mean, you did, right, at first?
Yeah, I think it does help because, for instance, I wrote for this show called Totally Clueless, and she didn't even know I wanted to write at the time. And she just said, this has come across her desk, asked me if I was interested. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'd love to take a crack at it. So I submitted some sketches and some things for the show, and then I got hired. So if I hadn't had a manager, if it didn't come across her desk and she didn't, like, suggest that I submit for it, then I wouldn't have that job. And that job was the biggest, like, amount of money I've made ever.
Wow,
and
really?
It's honestly, it's not a crazy amount of money. It's just for me. I come from my background.
What is your background?
I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize it as much growing up, but when I think back about it, I go, oh yeah, we were struggling. It's like the kind of house we lived in a house where we couldn't afford curtains, so we would have towels on the windows, and nobody could come over. We didn't have any furniture for them to sit on. I remember when my mom finally, like, I was in high school, she got the first piece of furniture that she ever really bought. It was a couch. That was our only thing, and we couldn't even sit on it because it was like her couch.
So they did have plastic all over it and stuff?
No.
No. It's just that you couldn't sit on it.
We just couldn't sit on it. We couldn't use it. It was her couch.
So your mother purchased a couch that you're supposed to sit on, but you couldn't sit on it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it runs so deep. I really, like this.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Springfield, Illinois.
Oh, okay. I'm just putting 2 and 2 together.
But she was a hardworking mom. She had 3 kids, police officer. So she did what she could, and we struggled. That's just what it was.
So she was a single mother.
Uh-huh.
And now you're a single mother as well.
I'm a single mom. I don't think that's how it works,
How do you feel about that, though?
How do I feel about that? What?
I'm not, not trying to offend you or anything like that, but I mean, it seems like it's, she was a single mother, now you're a single mother as
I
well.
don't think that's how it works.
Trying to break the cycle or whatever.
It's not a cycle. See, the difference is, it's like such a stereotype. My mom was married. She had 3 kids married, and then she was divorced. So maybe I should say divorced single mom. I mean, I don't think of it that way because I don't feel like I have to like hold everybody's hand because they just hear single mom and I think, yeah, she's a black shit. But there's a lot of divorced white women who have kids. My father wasn't around. They got divorced shortly after my little sister was born. So no, I was not raised with him. But it wasn't like my mom wasn't out being crazy and having 3 kids by 3 different men.
Right.
She had the plan. She had it all. We had the house. It just didn't work out. And that happens with white people all over America.
Absolutely.
It's not a black thing.
It's not a black thing at all.
Did the black thing. I represent.
What do you mean? What did you do?
No, I had a one-night stand and I have a kid.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, that's not necessarily a black thing either. I'm just saying I had a kid. I had a kid. I don't know. I don't feel.
Is he in her life?
He's in her life, yeah.
Isn't that kind of crazy though?
I
You don't
definitely want him
even
in
know.
her life. I definitely want.
But you didn't really know about the dude that much, right?
I did know him. I knew him for a few years. We were on good terms.
Oh, I thought it was a one-night stand.
It was a one-night stand. It was the only time I had sex with him ever in my life.
But you'd known him for a little while and stuff.
I'd known him. Mm-hmm.
Cool. And so now where do you live? You live up here in New York. Which borough? You live in Jersey?
I live in Jersey City.
Jersey City?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. It's very peaceful.
I lived in Jersey City for a little while.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, first year I moved up here.
Oh, yeah? You liked it?
It was all right. Yeah, right around Grove Street.
That's perfect. It's a perfect area for kids.
Yeah?
Everybody has a kid.
I don't know. It's still pretty shady, though.
I don't know, because when you lived back there,
no,
because now they've
my
cobbled those streets.
My bike got stolen last month there.
Bikes get stolen anywhere.
No, it doesn't.
Really?
Yes, it happens in Jersey City. I'm telling you,
bikes get stolen though. That's not what I'm worried about.
Bikes get stolen in Jersey City. I'm serious. Yeah. It's all like it's gotten like a million times better than whatever the fuck.
Have you heard lately of all the people wandering, like just randomly walking on the street, getting shot by stray bullets? Take my bike, please.
Don't take my bike.
Nah, take my bike.
I had a nice ass bike.
Spare my life. Take my bike.
I had a nice ass bike. I'm from Florida, right? And I love these beach cruisers, like 1 speed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a Pee Wee Herman.
Oh, I like that. Oh, that's
what I hear. I was living in Brooklyn.
I love Pee Wee Herman.
Living in Brooklyn, driving around. Nice Pee Wee Herman bike, you fucking you know. But anyway, I found this awesome beach cruiser bike that had it wasn't a 1 speed. It had gears put on there. I couldn't believe it. I bought it in Williamsburg, and I had it for like 2 months, and I was over in Jersey City, and come out in the morning or whatever. Wow. Gone. You
should have went on a big adventure.
You're right. I should have went on a big adventure.
You missed your opportunity.
Or she had that shit tied up with the white, chain that he pulled out. God, it was awesome.
I love that show.
Large Marge set me. Right?
Yeah.
That was nuts. Okay.
And he looked like this.
Yeah, we're the same age. I'm 33 also. You bring that up in your set and stuff.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah. When's your birthday?
What else am I going to talk about? February.
February? All right. What's that? Aquarius?
I'm a Pisces.
Pisces. Okay, Pisces. I don't think I get along with you.
What are you?
Aries?
Yeah, my brother's an Aries. Yeah.
You're too sensitive for us. We say shit and get you offended.
Because you're too immature.
That's not true.
Okay, so all of a sudden, astrology's not true. I'm
is that why? Is that what it says?
You are the first sign.
I know.
Yeah,
the best,
you're
the leader,
the youngest, the immature.
The leader.
No,
sign.
it's not. That's the Leo.
Yes,
Who the hell?
What?
That's the Leo.
Aries is a natural born leader. They come out first. They don't even know anything other than just being
They're the
a leader.
most immature.
No.
Undeveloped sign. They haven't gone through any of the cycles, so you're supposed to cycle through
At
all
the
the way.
end of
And Pisces are the most developed.
Really?
So we're like half gone. We're half.
Is it the end of it?
Otherworldly.
No.
It's the last sign.
It is? Oh, okay. Yeah, fuck all that.
Yeah, that's why. Exactly. Look at you. You proved my point.
Worst. Anyway, so Jimmy Fallon.
Yes.
All right. So how'd that work out? Tell me about Jimmy Fallon.
That was awesome. He
Did
was
that give you
really
a lot of?
nice.
That got you a lot of People are thinking about Calise Hawkins, right?
I don't know how that works. It's kind of invisible.
It wasn't like...
There's not a direct thread from Fallon to anything.
Like back in the day, it was all about,
Yes.
go on the Tonight Show and stuff, right?
As soon as you're on something, you get something. It doesn't work like that
Nowadays,
anymore.
nobody watches TV, right?
Really? I don't know.
I don't watch TV. I never watch TV ever.
I sometimes.
I
have
stream shit.
My programs.
You do?
Yeah, I have a
what
few.
programs?
I like Newsroom. I was
Okay.
big into True Blood. I like Wilfred.
Oh, yeah, Wilfred.
It's
Yeah,
funny.
with the dog or whatever.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
That is kind of funny. All right, that's okay. But yeah. But no, nobody. It's not the same thing, though, anymore, right?
No, it's not the same thing. Like, I've done several TV spots, and I don't feel like it's elevated me above the rest of the comics. I just feel like, people seem to be respecting what I'm doing, and that's nice. But it's not giving me a career yet.
What do you want as a career?
I just want stability. I'm not trying to prove anything. I just want to be able to pay my rent and send my kid to college if she feels like going to college. And if she doesn't, I want to be able to give her money for a business venture, a little business venture.
Yeah.
Get her some poker lessons. I don't know. I don't care what she does. I just want to have the money to.
You just want to have stable money.
Have the foundation for her to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
And be able to do your thing. And not have to
Yes.
work like a shitty 9-to-5 job, regular job, right? That sucks.
Yeah, if I found the 9-to-5 that made me feel, like I'm really contributing to the world, and it felt like it was worth my time, I would do it. I'm actually interviewing on Monday for a job.
You are?
It's a part-time thing to work with like
Habitat for Humanity?
troubled youths in Harlem. Like I met some guy who does that, and I want to do stuff like that. So I'm gonna go and see if they're interested in me being a role model. It would be nice.
Teach them how to do comedy?
Nah, I wouldn't want to do that.
No?
I don't know how to teach comedy.
That brings up a good point. I always see this stuff about like classes, comedy classes.
Right.
And you hear like a mixed review on it. A lot of people talk shit about it, They say it's kind of like a waste of time.
See,
What do you think about that?
My thing about comedy classes is there's no right way. So if you took a class, it might set you back years on figuring out what your way about being funny is. You have to find your own voice and your own strategy. And so if you take a comedy class, you're just going to be taught their way. And I have never heard of a teacher who teaches you to find how you're funny. I've never heard of that. They give you these rules, and these rules don't really apply. Like, I remember hearing this with some guy who was like, "It's comedy comes in threes. Comedy comes in threes." That is an old fucking played out rule.
Death.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the Bad Omens. But I just don't agree with that.
What do you mean comedy comes in threes? What does he mean by that?
Like, you say three, like there's three jokes. It's this, this, this. Punchline, punchline, punchline. Move on to the next joke. I don't agree with that. Comedy for me is just, I just take the piece of life that happened to me, and I say what's funny about it, and I move on. I don't have a good, I don't have rules. I'm not that funny. I just try to say whatever I can.
I think it's the whole package, though. I mean, you got your hair natural, and it's all.
That's not really it.
That
could be a distraction.
You have a really nice voice, also.
Yeah, I'm learning my comedic rhythm in my voice and my
I like
my
it.
style.
Yeah. Your delivery is really.
It's
awesome.
coming out more natural than I used to, because you just don't you just don't know who you are sometimes. These guys are peeing across the street. I'm trying to see his penis, but I can't. That's sad, actually. Some other dudes just took pictures. No homo, right?
Yeah. That was funny,
they
though.
just gave him dap. That's how they reconcile? The guy just had his dick out, and you just gave him dap.
That was funny, though, because
That's
no
hilarious.
homo, but yeah, I looked over the two, and I didn't see a penis either. It was pretty funny.
I was just see his urine.
What the hell? That's New York, though.
Yeah.
But, that's not the first time I was doing a podcast and I saw that.
Yeah?
Yeah. What the fuck? Oh, my God. I was doing a podcast at a park with this guy. This guy, Paul Campbell, he's like entrepreneur, from the UK and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
He was nice enough to meet me at a park in Lower East Side. And this black dude just like comes up, he's drunk, and then drops trow and starts pissing right there, talking shit to us all. It was funny. Anyway. But anyway, that's all part of it. You got to get back to your friend, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want her to hang out. She's trying to run away from me tonight.
Why?
She's just ready to go home.
You don't want her to do that?
No, I want to hang out. I'm out. I got a babysitter.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna hang out a little bit. You're gonna get drinks, and then you're gonna do another set, or what?
No, I'll do my last set first. I have a new strategy. I used to get really drunk before I would get on stage because that was like the best way for me to have courage. And now that I've gotten confidence in doing this, it doesn't help. I finally, like people always tell you that you really have to get to it on your own.
I know
People
that.
can't tell you anything.
Definitely.
They can't tell me shit. So I finally got to a point where I'm confident enough on stage that I've realized it's a detriment to be drunk and to be aggressive or to be like whatever it is that alcohol gives you. So I've realized if I can get through the nerves and just get to being funny, it's gonna take me a lot further than if I'm using the crutch. That can only take you so far. So I'm finally like, I don't drink until after I'm done with sets. And sometimes
Did
I just don't
anybody
drink.
like tell you like, hey, you're pretty funny. You should be a stand-up comedian? Or anything like that?
Never. That's not.
What
that's
the
not
hell?
thing
What made you
that-
do it?
People
Tell me,
don't
like,
say that to women. People don't ever go to women. You should do comedy.
yeah.
That's
There's not a
thing.
lot of women stand-ups, really. Anyway, right? There's like,
No.
I mean, it's definitely more
I
male.
think there
centered.
are a lot of women open micers who are taking a stab at it, but since it's not the easiest route for women don't get the same kinds of breaks that men do because there aren't as many results. So there's not as many legendary women on stage. So people aren't. It's not the market's not up. You know what I mean? It's just like the stock market. People aren't buying into women, so there aren't as many jobs for women in comedy. It's just not. Why did I get into it? I think I was really fascinated with sketch comedy, and that's what I used to watch all the time.
Can you take me through like the first time you got up? Where were you? Did you do it at one of those open mic nights?
Yes, I went to a singer comic open mic, so it was a really good place to do it. Because if you just go to a comic open mic, they're just kind of watching you and scrutinizing you, and they're in their own notes and they're in their own head. But you go to a music open mic, and they know their songs. They know what they're going to play. They're not as nervous, and they're more of a crowd because they don't do comedy. You're not their competition, so they're just watching you, and they'll laugh if it's funny. So it was the perfect place for me to go. I actually met a comedian because I used to always hang out at comedy clubs. I used to always go to comedy shows, right? And I met a comedian who runs an open mic. And it was like shortly after I broke up with my boyfriend, who I met in acting class, and he wanted to try comedy. And I kept trying to encourage him to try comedy. And I was writing jokes. I was like, write jokes with me. Let's just go to an open mic. Because we used to go to comedy clubs together. And we used to go to
You're
open
very
mics.
supportive.
Yes. I'm very supportive.
Pisces.
Yeah.
Very supportive people.
And then he never got up on stage. And when we broke up, I had all this material about him. So I just ended up going on stage and venting about him. And he went and he supported me, actually. And it
Really?
turned out really nice. Yeah.
Did he go to the first show?
He went to the first show. He was the most nervous. He was more nervous than I was. But I was crazy nervous. I felt like I was going to throw up.
So wait, how many minutes did you do that first
I
time?
think I did 7 or 8 minutes.
You did?
Yeah. Because I had all this stuff written. I had a ton of stuff written. So if it hadn't gone well that time, because I'm very hard, I'm very critical on myself, I wouldn't do it again. There are people who bomb and bomb and bomb and bomb, and they do it again. I'm not saying obviously I bombed afterwards, but if it hadn't gone well the first time, I'd have been like, nah, forget it. Guess I was wrong. But it went great.
Wow. That's interesting. What kind of advice could you give to somebody who wanted to get into comedy?
You have to hit the open mics. You have to record yourself. You have to do what Jim Gaffigan told me. You have to listen for the laughs, and you have to be honest with yourself. If you're not getting laughs, you have to change it.
I saw Jim Gaffigan over at the Gotham Comedy Club.
He's awesome.
Not too long.
love
I think
him.
that's where he works his stuff out or whatever.
His writing is perfect. He's a great writer. You always admire what you're not. I'm not a great writer. I'm
You're
a
not?
little bit more of a performer, and I have a rhythm about me. His writing nails like the point. I have a way with the point. Do you know what I mean? Rather than it's written impeccably, I have a way with like getting it across. So I can be a little inconsistent that way, because if I don't get the point across the right way that night, the joke is completely lost. Whereas you have a writer who's like, you know, they have to still have the style and they have to have the timing, they have to have delivery as well. But their writing is so impeccable that usually the audience is going to get the joke no matter what they do. They're going to get the joke because it's coming. My joke is in the nuance of how did I say it? What did I look like while I was saying it? You know? It's... Ugh.
So
it's not as a surefire way to go about it.
So somebody wants to get into comedy. What the fuck do they do? Like you just go up there and just prepare like what? Like 5 minutes worth of stuff?
5 minutes for the open mic.
And just get up there and give it a whirl?
Yeah, and I honestly wouldn't be that critical on myself if I were them because you can never tell. You have to take the temperature of the room. If you see everybody else doing terribly because nobody's really focused and connected, don't think you're the person who's going to go up there and change the crowd at an open mic.
Right, because it's all about the room. Because like we just saw.
Right, exactly.
I saw you do the same set because you're working this out for the show, right? Mm-hmm. You did the same 5-6 minute set at 3 different places, and you had 3 different size crowds, like 3 totally different crowds.
Yeah.
The whole way they were, right?
Yeah.
The second crowd was, what was it, like 3?
6 people.
Yeah, it was like 6 people, 3 couples.
Yes, 3 couples, and that's the worst because they're like-minded and they're separated, and there's not enough...
in like a small, dingy little basement room.
There's not enough anonymity. You know, they're not anonymous enough. They can't just enjoy their laugh privately because the person next to them is like, you know, there's not enough people laughing for them to feel comfortable going, I think this is funny. It's like there's a group mentality. Oh, we all think this is funny. Good for you. You did it for us. But it's hard to have one person be like, I agree with
I don't
the joke.
give a shit. I'll laugh at a comedy show. I don't care who's there.
But that's the thing, though. Out of 6 people, the chances of having 6 people who feel like that are minimal. That's why people come to comedy. You're never going to have, except for an open mic, a crowd full of, like, artists who would just, like, express how they feel about a thing. You're going to have voyeurists, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Voyeurs.
Voyeurists. Voyagers.
Lawyers.
Star Trek. Voyagers.
You can have lawyers.
You can have lawyers. You're
a
gonna
room full of lawyers.
Yes. Deliberating.
Yeah, like your joke about men. You always got to one-up them. That shit is fucking hilarious.
I'm glad that you corrected me on that word. I've been saying misogynist. I've been trying to teach her about, I've been trying to teach my daughter about misogyny. And my friend wait, what's the word? Because I've been saying it wrong. And now I don't know. It's a misogyny.
Right.
So I've been trying to teach my daughter about misogynism. I've been saying this joke for a long time. And my friend finally told me tonight, I want you to know there's no misogynism. That's not a thing. It's misogyny. I was like, what the hell? How long have you been letting me be an asshole?
But it's kind of funny, though, when you say it like that, right? I mean, even if you might say it wrong. Hold on a second. Hey, guys, you think you could take a picture of us really quick? Think you could take a picture?
Hey, PJ. Thank you.
So just look inside of there, and click.
PJ was the guy who let me on earlier at the big crowd.
Oh, really?
We're doing a podcast.
Hold it down. No.
Thank you so much.
Just hold it down.
Awesome. And I'm going to need to do
It's okay.
If it's okay, can I do it again next week?
No, I have like but it's
Thank you. Bye.
not crazy.
Wait, you just use my phone, and then I'll give him the picture. I think he just... Oh, all right, here we go.
Okay. Just hold it down. Thank you. Yeah. Awesome.
I do the fake squint, like that means that you're really smiling.
Yeah, so who's that guy that just passed? He puts on one of the shows?
Person who books the Grizzly Pear. That's the first show you saw me on.
Right.
And every time I do a taping, they're very generous about giving me guest spots, which is very key because you need to have real crowds and you need to just run through your set over and over and over until you really have the feel for it. Because you want to be able to get up there and not think about what's the next joke. And a TV taping is different than a club set because you can't go off the cuff. You got to stick to the set.
Yeah. And
it's approved.
You just have like really good memory or something, or like once you. I mean, I've always been good at like kind of like memorizing monologues, like good, Goodfellas, shit like that.
Yeah.
Fucking all kinds of different movies or whatever movies that you love. Is it kind of like the same thing? You say it enough times and it just comes right up.
Yes.
And it comes right off.
Yes. And so the trick is after it's coming right up like that, the trick is to get connected in the moment so that it's not by rote, so that you're not just phoning it in, because the crowd needs to feel like it's happening now.
Phoning it in, yeah, that's something that a lot of comedians talk about, right? That's just like when you're, kind of like maybe not in the.
You're not into it. You're
not into it that day or whatever. Maybe you had a
That's
shitty day.
the worst thing to do to a crowd, because it's like saying you had to be there. You had to be there. Like every joke is you had to be there, instead of I'm telling you this thing that happened right now. You have to tell it like that thing just happened to you too, so the crowd can feel it.
Did that really happen to you?
Everything
on the
I say,
train.
Every single word I say really happened to me.
Right.
Now, if I go off on a tangent where I'm saying it's like this or it's like that, or I'm very specific about, like I'm just being, I'm using my imagination now. Like, like I have a joke about having sex with a boogeyman. Obviously. But,
Can you tell me that one really, really quick?
Well, the joke is that how my ex-boyfriend called me a whore. And I'm like, the thing about it, though, was that he found out that I had sex with somebody he knows, but it happened 4 years before I even met him.
Oh, shit.
And I said, that's how fragile a man's
one.
ego is that when he found out, he had the nerve to call me up, like, but I thought that my penis was the only penis that that I know about, but you put his penis where I put my penis. I'm like, well, that's, like, really sensitive for a man. And I'm like, but trying to...
It was like 4 years before you went out.
Yeah. And I'm like, but trying to trick a girl into thinking like she's a whore is like trying to trick a little girl into thinking there's a boogeyman hiding under her bed. I'm old enough now to fuck that boogeyman. So I'm not talking about like it really happened. It's obvious that I'm using this as a metaphor. There's not a single thing in my set that didn't happen. I am not that creative when it comes to, honestly, I don't care for making up funny things. It's not my style.
What about people like Carlos Mencia or whatever, who like supposedly steal other people's jokes and then kind of reword it or whatever? Do you ever have any of that going on with all the comedians that you hang out with, or are there any people that do that?
Sure. Most likely, though, a comedian just saw something and forgot about it, and they were halfway paying attention to it, and then they thought they came up with it, and they subconsciously,
Do you ever subconsciously, has anybody ever approached you about it? No, never.
Somebody actually did accuse me of stealing a joke one time.
Really?
And it just like, it went from this like huge accusation, and it just like kept losing steam, because it went from, you stole my joke about a homeless man to, well, you're doing the homeless character like I do. You stole the essence of it. It's like it became like it didn't hold any water. So that happens. You're gonna get accused of a lot of things. Fuck it. I talk about specific things that happened to me. You can't steal. Like, I don't know everybody else who has a 6-year-old who's talking about their kid. I have my own specific experience. I say the things that people exactly say to me. But there are other people in the world who I think could steal a joke that way too. Like if somebody hears somebody else on stage and then it happens to them too, then they feel like they can tell the joke because it happened to them. Mm-hmm. There are definitely those people out there.
Yeah.
I'm not one of them.
Isn't that the whole thing about being a writer, though? Being a writer in general, not even just like comedy writing, it comes from real life.
Yeah. Not everybody's comedy comes from real life. Some
No?
people are very absurd.
Yeah?
Yeah, some people are very absurd, and they're very silly about what they talk about. I like that kind of comedy.
So you're just like a real comedy fan, right? Because you used to hang out at comedy clubs before you even did it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, sure.
So one thing, you always end your sets with saying like a funny thing, You always say, go ahead and say it.
Enjoy the rest of your lives?
Yeah.
I said that accidentally one time.
Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your lives.
I said that accidentally one time, and it's one of those things that it works.
It's cool because you have like marketing yourself with that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I could care less. But it's one of those things like where if I say it after I have a great set, it's great, and people are like, But if I say it after I bomb, it's even better. Because if I just bombed and the crowd hates me, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Enjoy the rest of your lives. It sounds like I'm like, fuck you too. But I think it has a nice ring to it because I thought about it one night, and comedians always say, enjoy the rest of your night or enjoy the rest of your show. And I'm like, that's so selfish. Like, just enjoy the thing that I contributed to you. Enjoy me. And instead of that, I'm like, you know what? Keep walking. Once you leave this place, keep enjoying shit. I think it sounds better.
Yeah, it's funny. So, I mean, I guess we could just end this podcast like that right now, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you just, like, you know?
All right, well, you guys, I'm Calise. Thank you for listening to the podcast, and enjoy the rest of your lives.
1, 2, 3. FatEnzo.com. 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 FatEnzo.com.